second.
This is Secret America with your hosts, Jack Danger and James Clary.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jack Danger along with James Clary, and we have a very special guest for you today. It is A.F. Branco. He is the top political cartoonist in the entire country, and if anybody has anything else to say about that, you come to me and I will take care of it, because this man is definitely the best. James, Tony, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good, buddy. And Tony, great to have you here. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
We really appreciate you coming on, because as I said, you are, you are, at least in my eyes, and I think in most of America's eyes, the top political cartoonist in the country. And I just want to share, for anybody that doesn't recognize the man, I can promise you, you will recognize his art. I'm going to share with you just a few of my favorites real quick, if you don't mind. I want to put some of these up here because these are the best. Like, take a look at this one right here. Okay, it says right there, you see where it says Trump's holding it, says Happy Independence Day, America. And then he says, can't you set aside a politics for one day? But yet America was never great. America is racist. His illustrations say 10,000 different things at once, but yet there's no words needed. You can read these things, you can look at them and know that they are saying exactly what you feel in your heart. James, this cartoon right here is your favorite. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, it just shows the lunacy of the left. And as Tony said off air, he said that the content is just never ending. And he's true. It shows a drag queen, story out for kids, late term abortion guy, trans surgery for kids. And then it shows that crazy trans person who worked for Biden. And then there's Kamala, who's making fun of J.D. Vance holding a sign that says secure borders. And she's saying, he's so weird, cackle.
Yeah, the whole weird thing. Yeah.
Humor is all about the truth. The best comedians and the best cartoonists, something that they're saying is about the truth. Would you talk a little bit about that, Tony? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. There has to be an element of truth within the cartoon to make it funny. Now, the problem I have with a lot of the leftist cartoons, and I never really criticize other cartoonists, but on the left, when I see one of their cartoons, I come across them, there's no truth in it. What they have is a reality that they would like to see, and then they make fun of that reality. And it doesn't line up with the facts, doesn't line up with the truth. And it's very important if you're going to be funny. And I've had a lot of leftists look at my cartoons and say, I don't agree with your cartoon, but it's really funny. Well, it's funny because there's some element of truth that you see in it. Even a person on the left can actually see. And that's what I shoot for when I do a cartoon. I don't always align with it. I don't always accomplish it, but that's what I'm always shooting for.
And do you see the parallels in comedy acts and Hollywood and television for that matter? I think that's across the spectrum. Do you agree?
Absolutely. That's why Gutfeld is so funny. That's why Gutfeld is doing better than all of them on Fox. I don't watch a lot of Fox, but that show is really high above all the other talk shows that are out there. Colbert's being taken off the air, and I imagine the rest of them are going to follow, because what they've done is they've tried to create something and try to not brainwash, but influence people with their politics on that show. And people didn't watch that show for that. They watched it to escape from whatever things that they were dealing with during the day. They would turn on the show for late night to get a little laughter, a little relief, a little escape. And then they're just bombarded by Colbert and all these guys throwing politics at them. politics that they didn't agree with, and that is, like I said, there has to be an element of truth in it, and they weren't saying it, so I see why it's being taken off the air.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the thing is that seems like politics is in everything now. They want to inject, especially the left wants to inject their politics into everything now. And James was said something very, very poignant. You have to be a comedian and a cartoonist, and you're both of those things, because if people look at your illustrations, I want to put up my favorite one right here. This one, and people may not know this, but I have been a fan of AF Branco for a while now. He is, I've been, looking at his stuff for the last, 8 years or so. He has been incredible. And he was nice enough to actually allow me to contact him on Twitter back when it was Twitter years ago. And he actually signed my favorite cartoon for me and sent it to me. That's how nice this man is. He would do anything for anybody. And I want to show you my favorite one right here. This right here is Donald Trump, and it's Happy Independence Day. It was in 2018. You can see his apron says Commander-in-Chief, which is absolutely brilliant. That's the comic value we were talking about there. But then also you can see the burgers. They say CNN, NBC, ABC. You can see where he is grilling out the media for Independence Day. And I think that's why that is my most favorite. You can see the smirk on his face, and you can feel this cartoon. It's not just comedy, and it's not just also political commentary. Your illustrations do all of those things. And the main thing I've always wanted to know, how in the world can you see what's going on and then put all of it into one freeze frame illustration?
Well, there's a lot going on up there, probably more than I can verbalize. It's actually a pretty scary place, so be glad you're not in there. But that's basically it. I've said for a long time that my biggest co-writers are all in Washington, D.C., because they're so absurd. It's almost where one of the biggest comments that I get on my cartoon is, it would be funny if it wasn't true. And then they laugh, because it is funny, but it would be funnier if it wasn't true, because, you just say the truth, draw it in a little frame, illustrate it in a certain way, and get your point across. And people can just about sum up an entire point or an entire idea of what's going on in that one frame. And that's what I strive to do. Now you can read an op-ed. Now an op-ed will bring in a lot of different points to make a bigger one, whereas on a cartoon, and I love op-ed pieces, don't get me wrong, some of my inspiration comes from those, but if you look at you don't have to read an entire op-ed piece to get this point across in a cartoon.
No, you absolutely don't. And the points that you get across are excellent. The way that you put them together like that. I mean, and that's why the main thing I want to know is, and I love that you're willing to see, people don't realize that you have to be a good artist for one, but you also have to pay attention and know what's going on in politics. And that's another reason why I'm glad we're having you on the show today, because rather than just introduce the audience to your drawings and your illustrations, we also get to show them all your political knowledge, because everything goes into these cartoons. And you're going to join us for the entire show, and we're going to talk about other topics. But I mean, if someone wanted to, be able to see your drawings and see the latest ones, the newest ones that are coming out, or wanted to be able to support you, how would they go about doing that?
They can always reach me at comicallyincorrect.com. Or look at and I have a huge extensive archive there. So if they go to comicallyincorrect.com, they can catch my latest cartoons there.
Hey, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself. I looked you up. You were a military cop.
Yeah, that was
military. So, I mean, some of this had to form your opinions in later life. And, what kind of family were you born into? Were your parents conservative, or?
My dad was. My mom was apolitical. I was born and raised in Northern California along the coast, a little town called Point Arena. My dad was a logger. He also owned a gas station, and then eventually moved into owning a bar and restaurant. So, I've always drawn all through school. And I often say that I was probably drawing when I should have been doing other things like reading, writing, and arithmetic. But it was, it all brought me to this, all these roads brought me there. I didn't do much drawing in the military, of course. But when I got out, jobs are really hard to find. So I got a job in a sawmill of all things. And while I was at that sawmill, I was doing cartoons about the sawmill politics and different things that were going on. The guys that working on the grain chain, guys that were working inside the mill, and their personalities and what they were doing. And I kind of sharpened my teeth doing that of all things in a sawmill. And what I would do is I would draw these cartoons, I would sign them, guess who, and then I would sneak into the break room and post them. So nobody for 2 years knew who was drawing the cartoons. And so it was a fun thing to do. And I kind of honed my skills that way.
You also, you're a musician as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was a musician for about 35, 40 years, on the road a lot, early on. And then I became a weekend warrior with that. And then about 10 years ago, I just retired that angle of it because, to be honest, the cartooning became so busy with that I didn't feel like I had time to do anything else if I wanted to have a weekend off, So,
no, and I hear you. I played in a band for years, and man, if you don't rehearse, bad things happen, Tony.
I know.
Yeah, that's sure. True. But the practice that you have had over the years, you've got to be, I mean, you are just really, really incredible now. But before we get into any of the topics, I wanted to show this one last cartoon real quick. And this is not one of yours, but this is what we talked about off air. This is how you know you've arrived. When someone else is drawing a cartoon of the cartoonist, you know you've arrived. So take a look at this right here. This right here is AF Branco, and you can see it says, "Hey Branco, don't forget to add the usual fake charges of anti-Semitism in your next cartoon against Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar." And then you've got things up there that says a flag that says Americans for Limited Brains, and it says, "Sure, boss, defamation is my job." And you can see him kissing Trump's ass. And that's when you know you've made it, is when they're making cartoons about the cartoonist, because nobody else has one. I've looked, nobody else has one of themselves like that. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it was pretty cool. Actually, I when you sent me that cartoon, and this is a few years ago, I clipped it and I saved it. I've got it in my stash of stuff somewhere. And I looked at it as an honor. The cartoonist that did that probably wasn't looking at it as honoring me, but he has no idea how much Jack made my day by sending that to me.
And I appreciate, because you said that too. You said that makes my day, because you were the one that said that. That's how you know you've arrived. You know, and I just thought that was so cool. And so that's definitely how we know you've arrived. But now,
and once again, that cartoon's not funny. There's nothing funny about it at all because it's all bullshit.
No.
That's true. And the best ones are, like you said, that they try to things that the way they wish they were, and that's why they're not funny. Yours are how they are, and that's why they are funny. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you have to take the elements of facts and truths and then create something funny around it. Whereas in this particular cartoon, everything that he said was false, not about me, but about Trump himself being an anti-Semite. I mean, he's proven above and beyond that he's not. He has relatives that are Jewish. He's been on the side of the Israel state, more so ever than the Democrats are right now. So it's something that the guy has a reality that he sees, and that reality doesn't comport with the truth.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's why yours are always much better than the competitions. And that's why you are the top American political cartoonist.
Thank you.
I want to go ahead and actually just jump right into this first topic, because it is the most important one, I think, of all of them out there. And that is how DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has actually declassified documents that actually show real evidence that Obama directed basically a treasonous conspiracy against Trump to kind of overthrow him. They not only spied on him, but they did everything they could to do the whole Russia collusion hoax to try to basically illegitimize his presidency and kind of get him out of office. You know, he was impeached for things that were similar to that. They try to get him actually convicted and thrown out of office. This was a conspiracy to overthrow the government, was it not?
Absolutely. The original report coming from the DNI was that Russia had nothing to do, had very little to scratch the outcome of the election. That was the original. Obama didn't like that one, so he told him to go back to work and find something or try to create something using the dossier, the phony dossier, using whatever that means. They can have Clapper, Brennan, all of the Comey, all work to strive to create this idea that Trump was a Putin puppet, and they use their cohorts in the media to do it. So they're all complicit, and the information that she's coming out with, I don't know how the Democrats, of course, you know, they'll spin it as lies. They'll spin it as, oh, well, they're not giving you all the truth, that kind of thing. But I don't know how you get out of this one. The DOJ should immediately go for, if not arrest, but investigations and go the whole mile with this.
And do you think they will, James? Do you think they'll go for, this is where, if they're going to put this out, James, arrests have to happen. They've done so many things that they put out now without anything happening. Arrests have to happen, don't they?
Man, we'll see. You know, I think, and I think you both would agree, we've been let down so many times. We have been promised justice and we've been denied justice over and over. I mean, look, guys, I don't get my hopes up. I really lower my expectations because I've been disappointed. You know,
that's sad, isn't it? That we have to do that.
It is sad. It is freaking sad. Now, Obama has executive privilege. He cannot be. He has immunity, I should say.
But what did they do to Trump, though? Remember? They charged him with all that BS. Surely you can be charged with treason if you're a president, right?
Well, you remember with Trump, they said that he couldn't be found liable for acts while he was acting as president. So
official
they could make
duties,
the case with Obama that, you know, he was acting as president. But look, all those around him, including Hillary. I mean, remember what Hillary did, guys, with the Blackberries and the emails. And she just totally, that was one of the first big things when we saw her get away with that. Now, I mean, I could go back to OKC bombing and 9/11, a lot of other things, but that was a clear case of destroying evidence. And
we now,
and Cheryl, they got away with it. What do you think, Tony?
We now know why Comey let her off the hook on having that server in her bathroom or wherever it was.
You're absolutely right. And that's the thing is, why would they put this out? Tony, I want to ask you, why would they put this out if they're not going to give out the arrest? I mean, don't they think, I mean, haven't they given us enough fake bait, a bait and switch? I mean, we as Americans, especially on the leaning right, we voted for justice this time around. If we do not get justice, we are going to lose by a landslide in the midterms because people are just not going to vote. They're not going to vote for the left, but they're not going to vote at all because why vote if you're not getting what you vote for?
And that's why the Democrats are going to fight like hell to try to make this a nothing burger. They're going to say they're lying. They're going to try to use that. They're going to try to use this to win the midterms.
Oh yes.
And how Bondi has to navigate this is it's got to be out there and hard to show everybody. And the nice thing about what we have now that Trump didn't have back in 2016 is we have an alternative media like your program, like War Room, like all these other programs that are out there. And the mainstream media is so low on the totem pole as far as trust that anything that most people are expecting them to lie. And nothing has come out on the mainstream media about this very much. If you notice, this is big. This is a nuclear bomb going off. And
it should be a massive story.
Yeah. And CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS are barely touching it. And if this was the other way around, if they found, look how big the story was when Trump had nothing to do with it.
Oh my
and they
God.
put it out there. It was a big story, and people got Pulitzer Prizes from it. It's amazing how you contrast the two.
It is. But James, wasn't Trump, every time we think that something is going the wrong way, we maybe we should just trust Trump about everything, because doesn't he seem to have been right about everything? Later on down the road, we find out he was right, even if it looks wrong.
Yeah, and look, you and I, the last two shows before this one, just beat the hell out of him over this Epstein thing, and like Tucker and many other people did. And I think we had right to question it, and some of his statements still, when I think back, they were outrageous, calling supporters weak and stupid. But we did raise the point, Jack. Look, he always knows so much more. We act like we know something. We don't know jack shit.
No, he knows
Trump,
way more than we do. Yeah.
And he's smart. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, because he's constantly making deals and doing things behind the scenes. And I do think, I'm going to speak for myself, I need to be better about giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I feel the same way. What about you, Tony? Do you find yourself sometimes thinking, this he shouldn't be doing this or he shouldn't be doing that, only to, think, well, he has earned the benefit of the doubt, later on?
Well, instantly, I didn't like the optics.
Yes,
instantly.
exactly.
But at the same time, I was saying, what else is going on? There's something else going on. It's a bifurcated type of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the optics didn't look good, but what else is going on? Why? I know that he has nothing to do with the Epstein files. He didn't partake in any of that.
Right.
In fact, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for illicit behavior or despicable behavior. He kicked him out. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. Everybody that knows Trump personally, in and out, knows that he had nothing to do with this. But what is he seeing in this? And I think what he's seeing, there was a letter that came out, and I don't know if Comey's daughter had anything to do with it, but they found a letter in there that he wrote a birthday card to Epstein,
Mm-hmm.
and Trump doesn't remember doing that at all. And it was it was just a nothing. It was just a birthday card, and he drew a kind of a shape of a woman. Now they're not even sure it was him, but they're pretty sure it may not be him because of the signature was wrong. But see, they stuck that in there in the last couple of months before Trump took over this time.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, did you see where he is actually suing them now for $10 billion? We're talking, like it's the Wall Street Journal and all these others, but there's some news reports that came out that says that JD Vance actually traveled to Montana on Tuesday for a private meeting with Rupert Murdoch and senior Fox News executives shortly before the Wall Street Journal, which is also owned by Murdoch, published this alleged letter from Trump to Epstein. So apparently JD Vance met with them right before then. But going back to the original thing that we were talking about, how they roped Hillary, how they are not roped, excuse me. Do you know how they were able to connect Hillary Clinton to Obama and all these people having pushed, actually not just pushed the Russia collusion hoax, but actually did this treasonous conspiracy? They were able to make it a conspiracy because text messages and emails reportedly revealed that officials from Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign worked directly with the Obama White House to initiate the Trump-Russia narrative. They knew that the Steele dossier was fake. They knew all these other things, and there are now text messages and emails that connect these things together, showing that they knew that these things were fake, showing that, Trump, or not Trump, that Obama, and then so we have the Russia thing, the intel that was released, the evidence that was released shows that U.S. intel admitted Russia did not hack the 2016 election. Obama pushed the Russia hoax to sabotage Trump. And yes, Obama was president at the time, but the Supreme Court said that he only has immunity for acts that are done that are official acts of the presidency, not while you're president, but just official acts of the presidency. Right. And these are definitely not official acts. These are treasonous acts. These are not something that he had to do for his job.
And let's remember, and Tony laid it out a bit, that everybody thought Hillary was going to win, including the people in the Obama administration.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until she lost that this plan was hatched. And I think this was a serious case of A, sour grapes, and B, they wanted to maintain control of the administrative state. Trump scared the hell out of them. They're like, guys, we've got to come up with something, because as Tony mentioned, there was an intelligent assessment that said Russia had nothing to do with the 2016 election. So then they all met, and Clapper was in the room, Biden. I'm not sure about Hillary. I think she was, but it was Clapper, Biden, Brennan, and Obama, and Comey for sure. And they said, we need a new intelligence assessment. So they write a new one that said there was this Russian hacking, and that's how Trump won. And so, I mean, if there ever was a conspiracy, and I know all three of us wear our conspiracy theorist hats proudly, this is a freaking conspiracy. That's what we're talking about, guys.
Absolutely. And according to Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, there are a lot more people pouring in, whistleblowers pouring in to validate all of this. And so that should be interesting to see how that comes, what comes from that, because there'll be a lot of testimonies and that to bolster the conspiracy.
And that's why I'm glad you said that, because you are right. There, she has said that there are, quote, whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork from the Obama administration right now, and they are all coming out, not just people that know about these things, but people that were actually in the Obama administration while this was happening, people that are actually part of Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign, people that have direct, intimate knowledge. I'm not talking about third party people that heard this secondhand with hearsay, people that actually know certain things took place and couldn't corroborate the texts and emails that she has been getting. I mean, these are the things that are going on now. And that's why I say there will have to be arrests, because if there isn't, I personally think this could irrevocably damage Donald Trump's presidency if there are no arrests that comes out of this.
There has to be arrest out of this. If there's no arrest, then we're in trouble. But we need to compare this to what they ignored with China. China had a lot more interference in our election at that time than Russia ever did. I think they came to like $150,000 that they spent on trying to spur it. And they had more reason to want Hillary to be president than they wanted Trump. And definitely. All this stuff, all these phony ballots that China spent promoting and printing, and they locked it in a room.
Yeah, they created tens of thousands of fake IDs. Identification theft is a federal felony crime. It's taken very seriously. I want to ask you guys this, though. If there's not arrest, it tells me something, that there's really more going on behind the scenes, which we know. It would be so simple to bring that Cheryl Mills, any of those people that worked on Hillary's campaign, you bring them in and say, look, you're involved in a conspiracy and you're looking at 10 to 20 years in the federal penitentiary. You better start singing now. I mean, this would be simple. And that's why if they say, oh, we did a thorough investigation and we didn't feel like there was enough to bring prosecution, it's going to blow up big time. Do you guys agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that I think you're going to see high level people turning on each other, like Clapper. I don't know about Brennan. Brennan has always been a communist. He was a communist way back when Obama hired him. And I don't know how he ever became in charge of the CIA. That just baffles me, knowing his communist connections. I mean, right there should tell you the guy doesn't care about the American people. He only cares about winning, and he only cares about advancing a socialist communist agenda. So, and he has the power of the CIA behind him to do that. And like Jack said earlier, they never expected him to win this, and they thought they were safe.
They absolutely thought they were safe.
Absolutely. You know, that brings me to, I got to do a shout out to Joel Gilbert. He is a filmmaker, And I don't know how I missed some of his films, but he made one about Obama. Now it is behind a paywall, but it's like $4 to rent. It is amazing. It's called Dreams of My Real Father. And he goes piece by piece. Obama's real father, and I didn't know if you guys know this, was a guy named Frank Marshall Davis. He was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party. He was a community organizer. He lived in Chicago. He's the one. He also had a proclivity for taking nude pictures of women and all kinds of group sex, the usual illicit elitist stuff. He's the one that took the pictures of Obama's mother, Ann Dunham. He impregnated her at a very young age, and her mother, it would be Obama's maternal grandfather, a guy named Stanley Dunham, was in the OSS and the CIA. He was so shocked. He was afraid he was going to lose his security clearance. So he got this young African guy named Barack Obama to pretend to be the father of his daughter's child, and they sent him off to a secret wedding. And that's where Obama got the name. But his real father is a guy named Frank Marshall Davis. And you look at pictures of them side by side, there is no doubt it's 100%. So Obama's maternal grandfather was CIA. His daughter's sleeping with a card-carrying member, Obama's mother, card-carrying member of the Communist Party, who was also hooked up with spooks. And they did community organizing in Chicago. Then they all moved to Hawaii. I mean, it's an insane story, and I highly recommend you guys go watch the film. And listeners, Joel Gilbert, I mean, it blew my mind.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, and I do know for sure, we all know for sure, and a lot of this stuff was out as far as Frank Marshall Davis being his mentor growing up and being a communist. Now, you take all this stuff, you take the fact that he started his presidential career in Bill Ayer's living room. You take the fact that he hung out with communists in Occidental College, I believe it was. You take the fact that he hung out with communists and all of this is very sketchy. A lot of people don't even remember Obama at Columbia. And then they've locked down his records. You can't see his records. Now, if those were Trump's records, they would find a way to get him out there. But with Obama, there's just such a sketchy background, from his birth certificate to his just a lot of different things. And I don't know. I think a lot of that should be on the line. I've never seen a presidential candidate be so in the dark.
No, not only that, but this man came out of nowhere. Not only did he came out of nowhere to speak the most articulate I have ever seen. You could tell he has been coached for a very long time. There is no proof that he ever went to Columbia University. There's no anything. There's like a fake ID thing from a long time ago that people are trying to pass off. There's no proof that he went there. There's just so many different things that, and then his birth certificate. I mean, that was such a downplayed story, not the birth certificate itself, but the fact that it was certified by the police as having been a fake birth certificate.
Well, remember who called it out too, Jack? It was Donald Trump that called it out.
Yeah. But it was so downplayed by the police. That's what shocked me. Or not the police, but by the media, because the police actually came out and said, this is a fake birth certificate. It was like one of the sheriffs. And they downplayed it as it's just the whole thing is mind boggling. And that's why I think arrests, I'm going to move on from this topic, but arrests definitely have to happen here. But the main thing I think also is a good thing is that I guess he thought that presidents were going to have immunity even for insane acts like this, because if you go to the Supreme Court's ruling, it's definitely not an official act, so it's definitely a crime, and it's not something for which he has immunity for. But the pardons, James, that all these other people are people we might actually be able to go after finally. The January 6th people, especially the Liz Cheneys, Adam Kinzingers of the world, those people. I mean, you've actually got actual confirmations from the New York Times where the pardons that Joe Biden did on January 19th were not done by him. They were actually authorized by, I believe it was a Jeff Zients, actually authorized the use of these of the auto pen signature. It wasn't even Biden himself that authorized the pardons. This little slip of article says, at January 19th meeting, which took place in the Yellow Oval Room of the White House residence, Mr. Biden kept his aides until nearly 10 p.m. blah, according to yada, 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 whatever. Anyway, it says 3 minutes later, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, I approve the use of the auto pen for the execution of all of the following pardons. So it wasn't even Biden that approved the pardons. We know he didn't sign them, but he didn't even approve them. There is no way these pardons can stand. And I think that there should be, I mean, after we've seen what's happened here, I mean, don't you think that not all these people that were involved in the auto pen scandal should be arrested? Barack Obama should be arrested, Hillary Clinton for the treasonous things they did. And then you've got all the people that were involved in the auto pen scandal. Then all the people that were fake pardoned deserves to be investigated. We need committees like what James was saying in our last episode. We had like the church committees and, the Warren commissions and that kind of thing. We need a committee now. Trump should be putting together a committee to go after all these people, to go after these things. What do you think, Tony?
Sorry. No, I agree with you 100% that we need to have investigations, committees. We need to find out exactly what's going on. The fact that Tulsi released those papers pretty much are self-explanatory what happened. We don't need much other than that. We just need to validate it through maybe a committee or an investigation or a special prosecutor. But it's pretty much self-explanatory that they, given the information she released, that this was a conspiracy. There's treason involved, and I don't really have a lot more to say other than that. And as far as the pardons go, I never knew that you could pardon somebody for a crime that hasn't been adjudicated or hasn't been.
Up, Tony. You actually can do that. That is actually, it says that the presidential pardon does extend to future possible charges. Believe me, I looked that up like crazy.
Oh boy. Yeah. And so what they need to do is prove that Biden didn't do it, that he didn't okay these pardons. And if they could prove that, I think a lot of people are in trouble.
I completely agree. What do you think, James?
Let's say worst case scenario, they don't get anywhere on the auto pen and the pardons stand. Okay. If they stand, you now have the ability to call these people before Congress and make them testify, and they can't invoke the Fifth Amendment because they've been pardoned. You know what? I would settle for some freaking transparency, some truth. Just get it out there, and I mean, at the very least, I think that's what needs to happen. And that's why people were so upset about the Epstein thing. It wasn't even about Epstein. It's just all of this control and this secrecy and this shadowy world of intel and government. We're just sick of it.
The shadowy world of the Democrat Party is basically what the control the Democrat Party had over the deep state and all our systems of government. That's what we want to know so that we can stop it. The firings, maybe they can't testify, the ones that were pardoned, but at least we could find out from them. And I'm sure that will lead to other people being indicted and maybe going to jail, but somebody has to pay for this. I don't understand why you can just give Fauci this blanket pardon if he's not guilty. What were they afraid of finding if he's not guilty?
And that's the thing. You can give pardons and it makes you look guilty, like his son. I mean, we all know his son was guilty of many crimes.
Yeah.
But see, they can say, nowadays, when you own the media as a Democrat, optics no longer matter. You don't have to do things based on, what looks good and what doesn't. Something can look like hell and the media can still save you. But one thing I want to say real quick, and this Tony and this James, I think you guys will find this funny. It's about Obama. Okay, so now we all heard about Larry, and I cannot remember his last name, had this, this gay encounter with Barack Obama, right? Apparently Obama, and his, so the funniest thing in the world happened recently. Barack Obama went on live, or I don't know if it was live, but it was national television. And he said that a gay professor shaped him as a young man. And when he said that, I thought that was the funniest thing I had ever heard in my life, especially if you know the backstory about, about the guy that he was with, spent those nights with, and about how his wife is supposedly possibly a man. I mean, don't you find that funny, James? He said a gay professor shaped him as a young man.
And he also said every man should have a gay friend, which I don't disagree with. I kind of agree with him there, because some of the funniest, most fun people that I hang out with are gay men. They're just funny. And, maybe I'm stereotyping, but it's the truth. But yeah, that Larry Sinclair, that story was, the guy he was very credible. I don't think anyone in the room, look, I have a gay meter. I was in the restaurant business like your dad, Tony. And for a long time, I just thought, oh, he's just effeminate. He can't be gay because he's married. He's got 2 kids. Every guy I found out thought that about it. Turns out they were gay. And I don't care. Barack Obama had my gay meter going off. He's a gay man. He was involved in that church with, who was the guy in the church? Reverend Jack Jones, whatever his name was. But that church had a part of their organization was to set up young black gay men to find legitimate partners. And I'll say it flat out. Wow. I think Michelle Obama's a man. I've seen the pictures of Barack's boyfriend. Sure looks like Michelle to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but and we've said this before, you never see any pictures of her pregnant. What kind of mom has 2 children and not a single picture of her being pregnant? I find that to be very suspect. What about you, Tony?
I always stay away from things I don't know. I try to, things I know for sure that may be true. It may not be true.
Us.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
We like to go on things that have a lot of very good circumstantial evidence. Now, we may not have direct evidence. I haven't actually seen her private parts, but I can tell you that the circumstantial evidence is pretty damn good here. We might be able to convict.
Yeah. And I find that interesting, and I leave an open mind towards that. And so, and I do find it interesting. I don't know if they had a real marriage or not. They seem to be on the ropes right now, or they're not. And Biden or Obama got on there with her podcast and said that they're fine, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
What is it about these global leaders and this trans, and then this just weird sexual proclivities, whether it's pedophilia or look, you got the Macrons. A court just ruled in France that it wasn't slander to call Brigitte Macron a man. He just overturned this decision. I've watched, I haven't read Poussard's book, but I've watched many interviews with him. The evidence is overwhelming. If she's not a man, then she has the weirdest history ever. Like Jack said, there's no pictures during a 30-year period. And then, Jack, who was the other person you brought up in Congress? Was it Adam Schiff's wife?
It's Adam Schiff has no. It's either Adam Schiff or Chuck Schumer or both that have wives that look just like men.
Schumer's wife looks like a man. Now, she may not be, and that's horrible. I don't want to be mean. I'm not a great looking guy myself, but
yeah. Well, when I find out for sure, I'll draw a cartoon about it. So
see, now that I would love to see. That I cannot wait for, and that's why we're gonna have to find out for sure, just so I can see the cartoon.
One thing I'll say about Michelle, in the mainstream media and in the elites, they treat her like she's the most gorgeous first lady we've ever had. They feature her on Vogue and they feature her in these different magazines. Yet they have the actual most beautiful first lady we've ever had, in my opinion, and Trump's wife. And they just ignore her like she's, I don't know how you ignore her. I just, that's the left for you. That's the left wing slant. And as far as the globalists go, I believe that they're in team with the evil. And I happen to be a Christian, and I believe
Yep.
that we have evil forces, and the globalists are a part of that evil force. And we have a short, I feel like we're kind of running out of runway. So we need to really get to work and keep what we have going with Trump, J.D. Vance, and get more Republicans or Trump Republicans in the House and the Senate, and enshrine what we believe to be what America is all about, because the globalists are coming. You don't think that the Democrats are going to just sit back and allow this to happen without a huge fight. These people are evil, and we know that they're capable of doing just about anything. They tried to put him in jail. They've tried to blame him for rape. They put all these things against Trump, even tried to kill him. And don't mark my words, I believe that they had something to do with that. Whether it was just leaving the door open for an assassination, I don't know. But they had something to do with it. And they've tried everything to stop this guy, and they can't do it. So we have an opportunity. Evil is there, and we need to fight it with everything we got. And we can't underestimate it. We can't underestimate this evil.
Well,
It's there.
Did you see now where President Trump is now more popular than Barack Obama or George Bush were at this point in their second terms?
Mhm.
And actually Newsweek, and this is true, Newsweek says the first 6 months of Trump's second presidency have been the most successful of any American president since FDR. Newsweek said that,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty amazing. Look, he's getting stuff done, and that's why we voted for the guy. He is a workaholic. The guy works 16 to 18 hours a day. He never stops, and he's carrying out the promises that he made to the American people. And I would say the only area, again, has to do with the justice system, or lack of justice that we've seen, and transparency. And, when you get mixed in with the intel, and I'm not talking just CIA, with the whole Epstein thing, MI6 was very involved in that. I mean, Prince Andrew, they could have taken down the royal family, guys. Do you know what they'll do to stop something like that from happening? Just imagine if it were shown that there were videos of the king's brother in bed with a 15-year-old. I mean, they'd do anything to stop that. And I think they did, quite honestly. I think they were involved, the Five Eyes intelligence. When you get into that world, it's very difficult. And Donald Trump by himself, and even with the great people he's hired, it's going to be incredibly difficult to bring down the deep state. And that's why I so appreciate what you said, Tony, because I'm a Christian too. This is about good versus evil. And at the end, really, we can rely on God. And that's about it.
We have no idea how close we came to losing this country to socialism, communism. We could have never got it back. This is our last stand, I think.
It is.
And we came so close. So I believe that there was divine intervention in that.
And guys, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's about all I had to say about that.
I wanted to get your opinions on something real quick, though. Okay, so we know how Zohran Mamdani is he's probably going to be the communist mayor of New York City, is where it looks like it's headed. He's got a double-digit lead over the current mayor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the current mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, for some reason I can't remember his name. His name does not matter, but he's the current mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is a Democrat, and he actually was one of the people that kneeled on the ground and wept in front of George Floyd's casket live on national television. But guess what? Even for all that insane crap that he did, the Democrat Party still turned their back on him. They just endorsed. He's the incumbent mayor, by the way, Democrat mayor running again. They just endorsed communist Omar Fateh. The Democrat Party has gone full communist now. They went for Zohran Mamdani, who they're all endorsing now in New York City, and now Omar Fateh. What do you think about the Democrat Party has said, hey, our policies are unpopular. Let's double down on those policies. Oh, you know what? Our approval rating is as low as it can go. Let's see how much lower we can drive it. What do you think about them now? First of all, they were hiding from this communist thing. And Free said his name is Jacob Frey. Thank you. That's the mayor of Minneapolis right now. Yeah. So at first, the Democrats were hiding from, oh, we're not socialist. We're not communist. Now they are leaning in to being communist. And they are somehow thinking, Tony, James, that this is going to turn things around for them. Why?
I think it's incremental myself. I think it's incremental. They're just incrementally trying to take over the United States. That's what the Muslim creed is. And if you look at New York, or if you look at Great Britain, all these major cities and all these towns are being taken over by Muslim mayors. I just saw a report on that the other day, and they were listing all the cities and towns that were taken over. And so it's not just in Europe, it's not just in different countries as far as in the West. It's happening here in the United States, and they're doing it in pieces. I've got a cartoon coming out tomorrow about this very thing. Really? I'm kind of at a loss for words, but it's happening. It's prevalent everywhere, and a lot of our politicians don't have the courage to stop it. It's baffling to me.
Well, this started back in the Somali Civil War, which really started, I think it was in the early 90s, created this huge flood of refugees, and particularly under Biden, he let thousands and thousands of Somalis, and for some reason they shipped them to Minnesota. And the reason is they don't want to scatter them across the country. They're taking over populations, little states and cities at a time. Look, there's 40,000 Somalis in Minneapolis. It's the largest group of Somalis anywhere in the world except Somalia. And the crime and the civil fraud that has gone on is just rampant. I read a long report recently about the Social Security and Medicare fraud that's going on there. It's just crazy. And election fraud. I mean, they've caught Somalis with boxes full of ballots. This person will win this election. I'm going to predict that on this show.
He will.
Yeah, he will win, and it'll be through fraud. And you're going to see more mosques put up. And the thing is, it seems like either we don't have the heart, the gut, or the ability to fight back against this stuff. I have nothing against refugees, but this is crazy.
Well, it's not. It doesn't melt well with our constitutional republic. Sharia law will not work with how our government works, and they're going to try to change it. And they're going to elect people that are going to try to change the Constitution so that they can melt Sharia law into the Constitution somehow. And a lot like Jack was saying earlier, that the Democrats, they seem to be doubling down on stupid at every turn. And things that they lost an election because of a lot of this stupidity, a lot of these goofy ideas that they have. And instead of saying, taking a step back and bringing forward their more reasonable Democrats, which I can't name any right now, but
no, right?
So as long as we keep moving forward with common sense and battle these people, we have to battle these people. We have to be on offense. We can't step back, say, "Oh, Trump won the election. Okay, I can sit back and go back to work and enjoy my backyard." No, you can't do that. You got to be more ferocious than you ever have been. And we all need to step up. We all need to step out of our comfort zone like I'm doing today, because I'd rather be sitting in my office drawing a cartoon than out in public. But I think we all need to jump out.
Well, you've been doing a great job so far, and that's why, we really appreciate having you here. But what I want to know, guys, is why would they do you think that they're just, we all know that they're trying to implement Sharia law. It's basically a Muslim takeover, an Islamic takeover in
Mhm.
America. And Islam is not really a religion. It's a political ideology. People want to say it's a religion. To me, it's more of a political ideology. And if you see the way they're trying to do it, since they know they can't win national elections because their policies are abysmal, they're going to
Mhm.
first put in all these, Islamic Sharia law, communist people in big city mayors that they can win, like New York City, Minneapolis,
Yeah.
maybe Los Angeles, areas like this, right? Slowly, they can let these local people change their election laws in local so that way they can win more elections in other areas. Then eventually it branches out, just like redistricting, gerrymandering, all these other things that eventually they can take over. It might take 10, 20 years, but they can take over America.
Yeah. It's happening in Texas, actually, of all places. The Muslim takeover down there. They bought big swaths of land, call them Shariavilles or whatever they call them, and nobody knew they were doing it. They were just kind of doing it under everybody's noses. And
Yeah,
Texas, of all
it's
places.
really it's kind of crazy, and I really appreciate what you said, Tony. We do have to fight, and I see one of our most ardent fans is Deborah Alter MAGA, and she follows a group. She may be part of it called the Rhino Removal Project.
Yeah, she's part of that group.
I heard you talking about elections. But gosh, Tony, I mean, look at Congress right now. They're sitting on their hands. Why haven't they opened up investigations? We've had almost a year in this administration. There should have been ongoing investigations day one. Congress is doing nothing, and I blame the GOP.
Absolutely. They've always been this way, and it's really a shame.
And why do they have no backbone, Tony? Tell me, why does it seem like that the Democrats always are willing to do whatever it takes to win, willing to stomp on whatever neck and throat it takes to get their stuff implemented, but the Republicans aren't?
Well, the Democrats are goose steppers, which most communists are, and the Republicans are more diverse. I mean, you have a diverse amount of opinions. You have people from more liberal states, you have people from more conservative states, and they're not goose steppers. They're some of them are rhinos, of course, but you can't. It's like herding cats with these guys, and they don't see. A lot of them just don't see the big picture. All they see is their next election. How am I going to get elected next election? And that's basically Trump was able to herd these cats this last time for the big beautiful bill, which I'm glad. And it wasn't a perfect bill, but he was able to do it. And Trump has to take probably him and his administration need to take a more active role in getting these people to be more in lockstep with the agenda, because they're going to lose. The Republicans are going to lose if they don't do this, if they don't come and be more on the mega team to get these things going. And then if they don't win this next election, this midterm election, Trump, what's going to happen. They're going to be going for impeachment, impeachment. That's all they have on their mind. They have nothing that's going to help America as a whole. All they want to do is get rid of Trump. So everything's going to go for the wayside for 2 years, his last 2 years, while they're trying to impeach him, and there will be nothing done to help the American people. And that's just Democrats, because they care more about their power than they care about the American people.
Just like the last 10 years. That's all they've done is focus on ways to hurt. Their whole platform was all about, you should hate Trump and vote for me because I'm not Trump.
Yeah.
That is every one of their politicians' platforms. I'm not Trump, so vote for me. And I find that shocking that they're able to win any elections that way, because they have no positive platform, nothing that they want to do for Americans, nothing that they're willing to do for Americans. It's a shocking thing. Real quick, though, I don't want to end everything on a negative note. I want to show you guys something really cool, okay? So the military, you know how drones are becoming a big problem, right? With especially in military warfare, China or Iran or whoever could have drones that could actually send drones all the way to America to be their warfare. They can actually hit us remotely like we can do to them. Well, I want everybody to see this new tool that the military has now against drones. It's really impressive stuff right here. So I want you to check this out, guys.
Imagine hundreds of drones attacking a military base at the same time. Your traditional defense system might take down 10, maybe 15, but the rest? They will overwhelm your defenses. Meet a Pyrus high-power microwave system designed to eliminate drone swarms instantly. Unlike conventional weapons that rely on expensive missiles or gunfire, Leonidas uses directed energy to fry enemy electronics in milliseconds. No bullets, no explosions, just pure electromagnetic power.
I just thought that was really cool, guys, because I mean, that is just so cool. They can take them all out.
Oh, Lord. So now they admit conspiracy theorists have been saying for years that the government used what was it called? Electromagnetic weapons.
Yeah.
Yes, electromagnetic weapons. Like a lot of people think that was involved in the 9/11 and the towers coming down, and that they've used it against different rioters and stuff. I think it's crazy. Hey, I know we're out of time. Tony, please give us your social media accounts and where we can find you.
They can find me on Twitter. A is an apple, F is in Frank, BRANCO, AF Branco, at AF Branco. Same with True Social. I'm on Facebook. You can find me, Antonio F. Branco, on Facebook.
And your website?
Yeah,
website is comicallyincorrect.com.
And it's a great thing. I think everybody should check it out. He's the best.
Yeah, well, you can see a cartoon I've done for years in the archives. You can go back, and there's a search. If you hit the cartoon up on the menu, it'll take you to a page, and off to your right will be a little search thing, and you can type in any name. You can type in Hillary, you can type in Obama, and a bunch of cartoons will come up about them. They're all kind of itemized. And if you want a 4th of July cartoon or Memorial Day cartoon or Veterans Day, you just hit, awesome. Trump.
And make sure that you guys share those on Twitter. Well, Tony, so appreciate you coming on. Jack, my brother, it's always great to see you. I'm James Clary. He's AF Branco, and that is Jack Danger at Secret America. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secret America with Jack Danger and James Clary.